Ladies and gentlemen, every time I think the Fani Willis case has stopped, every time I think it's over with, every time I think, okay, it's run its course, we've hit a brick wall, there's nothing new to talk about, something new is there to talk about. I can't put it in any other way other than what I'm saying right now. I can't put it into perspective. Let me get a better center here. Thank you so much. I can't put it into perspective any better than this. And the thing that is the most important about it is that there are layers to this. And with all due respect to my fellow colleagues on the commentary platform, those who are lawyers and those who are not, they're missing the point. And one of the things which you like and I love is to point out the complexity of things, to point out when things are really, really, really complicated. And that's the beautiful part about this. And complicated is beautiful. When you listen to a symphony orchestra, you don't say, I can't handle this. So many instruments. No, they blend together. It's not cacophonous. It's not dysphony. It's symphony. It's consonance. And that is the beautiful part about what I'm saying. It is consonance. And there is a beautiful part of this. And there's so much that we can learn. And one of the things which I've always believed in is that the law itself is so interesting. And what people do, with all due respect in a lot of these shows, is rather than teach you, they want to show you how smart they are. How they know more than anybody else. They know more than you. They know more than anybody. I know more than this one. It doesn't help you. Or it's so inside you don't. I remember one time there was a sportscaster I used to work with, Chris Thomas. And he was so great because he made people who didn't care anything about sports love it. He explained, this is why this is important. This is why this story is critical. This is why this matters. This is why it matters. And that's what I want to explain to you today. Plus, we have another story of Barbra Streisand weighs in, which I find to be so incredibly funny because Barbra Streisand does not recognize the fact that she is a joke and that she brings us a lot of comic relief by daring to weigh in on this arrogant, and it looks more and more perjurer, Fani Willis. The divorce case, by the way, remember something. Always watch the local coverage. There was a woman named Andrea Dyer Hastings. This is Joycelyn Wade's lawyer. A divorce lawyer, family law. And that's what you should watch. They didn't know anything about this. They knew nothing about the romantic connection between Nathan and Fanny. They had no idea, nothing. They had no clue. They didn't know. They also didn't realize that he was a special prosecutor making all this money. Now we get into hidden assets. And we also get into the notion, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this beautiful thing called fault divorce. Now, divorce, in Georgia, it's either you could opt for fault or opt out. Fault divorce is when you have to prove the case. You charge your spouse with mental cruelty, abandonment. There's all of these cases. There's a different technical reasons how you would benefit by going fault. Most people don't. They basically say, let's stipulate to irreconcilable differences. The marriage is irretrievably broken, and that's it. So as far as arguing the case, because remember, a divorce is like a lawsuit. You have to prove it. There was a time in our country, my dear friends, when divorces would be refused. Please make sure you are subscribing to this to this channel. Make sure you like this and listen very carefully. First of all, from our great sponsor. Well, it is time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know, a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, please listen. What are we talking about here? Down comforters, flannel sheets, Giza Dream bed sheets, My Pillow 2.0 sheets, slippers, percales, towels, quilts, bedspreads, mattresses, mattress covers, mattress toppers, linens, kitchen towels, bathrobes, name it. Literally name it. Items to help you luxuriate and relax. And they're monster sellers. Slippers, my slippers. That's right, slip-ons, moccasins. Think about it. What do they do at My Pillow? They make things real soft and plush and comfy. How perfect. Now here's the link. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, or mypillow.com /Solidus or Virgil /Lionel, or call 800-645-4965. And watch how fast Mike answers the phone. mypillow.com, promo code Lionel, simply and absolutely the best. I want to go through a couple of things here, which is, again, I think, believe it or not, it might be a good idea to bring in kids to explain this. This is a part which I find is really, really, really critical. Really critical. And something which I think everybody should benefit from, especially kids in particular. Because kids sometimes, I think, miss the point. This is the irony of this. When Mr. Floyd, Fanni's father, decided to say something, and he said, it's a black thing. Thank you, Pat Kelpie. Thank you so much. Dear, dear Pat, thank you so much for your kindness. But he says, this is a black thing. This is a black thing. I hope you understand, Judge. He told Judge McAfee, please, I'm not trying to be racist. This is a black thing. A black thing. Yeah, a black thing. What do you mean? Well, we keep cash, and we'll get to that in a moment. You realize that, believe it or not, there are some things that can be made that are a black thing, a white thing, an Asian thing, a Jewish thing, a New York thing, an Eastern thing, a Southern thing. How many times you say, he's a Southern gentleman? It's in the Arab community, the father normal, in the Jewish community, the firstborn male. We do this all the time. We do it all the time. And when it comes to family law in particular, you look at the notion of how culture plays a role into it. Did you know that in the Japanese, I don't know if this holds true now, but in the Japanese world, when divorce was looked down upon, the actual rate of divorce in the Japanese community is next to nothing. At least it was then. But adultery was through the roof. Now, why is that? Could be so if you were to say, now, it's a black thing, it's a Southern thing, it's a Georgia thing, there's a lot that would really be interesting to say, this is what's going on. And to understand, remember, everything that we do is psychology. And your psychology is based upon your gender, the culture, your culture, where you live, how you think, what you think, the circles you run in with and on. Do you think, for example, in the black community as a whole, the view regarding reparations is different than the white community? Yes. Why is that? Is it because it's a black thing? I don't know. But here is the rule. You cannot say that if you're not black. I don't think you can say anything if you're white. This is a tangential issue. This is something which is very, 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 you can think it all you want, but you really can't move along. Arlene, thank you so much. Arlene Army. Thank you, Arlene. But when it comes to family law, family, divorce, infidelity, I would love to see how adultery in the marital concept is viewed among various people in various communities. Let me give you an example. When I was growing up in Florida, in Cabo, so many of my friends, so many friends were Cuban and are Cuban. I'm not Cuban. I never had any, but might as well. My Spanish is with a Cuban accent. So, I mean, I was just inundated. The food, the culture, the music, the whole bit. So many people. And I cannot tell you how many times people would refer to tipa and pieza. And a tipa was like a girlfriend, but a pieza is like a gumad, right? Now, in the when you watch and listen to any of the mafia shows, any of the mafia platforms, they always talk about the gumar, you know, the gumar, as they call it, the mistress. Remember in Goodfellas, Wednesday night was girlfriend's night, the gumar. Remember, this was a part of the culture. Everybody, they had different family and multiple families. Vinny Chin, not the Chin, Vinny Chin from Chinzino Gigante had another family on the Upper East Side. His brother, the priest. I mean, it was a part of the culture. And what we're seeing right now is people slithering through marital fidelity. And I do not know if this is a cultural thing. I do know if this is something that is within friends, but I am telling you, in many, many groups of people in this country, by virtue of not any kind of inherent biological or genetic predisposition, but cultural, they do these things that are absolutely mind-blowing. Do you hear what I'm saying? They do things that are absolutely mind-blowing. And they do this on a regular basis. Now, let's take Mr. Wade. I don't know what his problem was. But this is a guy who it was taking them forever. And I was listening, and on my private channel, I go into far more brutal detail that I do not want to go in here, because nobody will ever want to talk about this, because it's never deemed appropriate, but it's the most important thing in the world. I am a profiler. I am like an FBI profiler when it comes to different people and the way they think. And if you don't think culture, if you don't think the way we're brought up, if you don't think what there we go. If you don't think that culture weighs into it, you're out of your mind. If you don't, if you for some reason don't think that culture plays any role in this, you're not paying attention. Who is this guy Wade? What is his story? This is where you go. If you really want to find the good stuff, it's in family law. It's in family law. You know the difference between fault and no fault. I think I might have intimated to that before, but I sorry about that. There we go, dear friends. So sorry for that. Let me just explain something to you, and I want you to recognize something. And this is the way I do it. This is my culture, okay? This is my culture. I'm a one-man show here. I give you me. I don't have producers. I don't have anything. I've got minimal everything. It's me. You know who does that too? You know who does that too? Thank you so much, my friend. You know who does that too? My good friend Sticks. Bare bones. It's him. Graphics. No, not really. Got a little thing here. So it's me. Forgive me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm backing things up and whatever it is. Let me proceed. You have this woman, and I watched this interview, which is so good. And I mentioned this, like I said, on my private channel. And she's talking, and she's going through this stuff, and she's like saying, "Wow, we didn't even know he had any kind of a relationship." Now, here's the story, and this gets really interesting. How do you know somebody's had a private relationship? By the way, here is the link to my private channel if you were so interested. How do you know somebody's had a private or an adulterous relation? How do you know? Unless somebody admits to it, how do you know? What does that mean? Have you ever had, because remember, and this is the best part too, and ladies, you can explain this and understand this probably better than anybody. We always talk about an adulterous relationship in terms of sex. That's it. The worst adulterous relationship is when a woman or a man steals your spouse's heart, not their body. It's wrong. It'll drive you crazy. It will. I mean, the level of, listen, the infidelity or whatever, it will drive you crazy. But I knew a judge years ago. He and his legal secretary, they were in love. But it was, they never had any relationship. I'm convinced of that. They sometimes would meet, their friends would, he was the assistant legal secretary, her husband and his wife, they would go out couples and never, but he was in love with her. They were closer, probably romantically and spiritually, than his own wife, whatever is worse. That's the worst adultery there is. But under our archaic laws, there's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as that. And let me also get into, but let me also get into this. Let me really, if you want to hear the good stuff about this. When you talk about sexual relations, well, what do you mean by that? Let's assume that your husband has had a 20-year relationship with a dominatrix. Doesn't pay for her. Doesn't, but it's just kind of consensual. They have a kind of a domination relationship. Do you think that in any way that qualifies as a sexual relation under the statutes? I would submit, it depends upon who I'm talking about. By the way, I need 500 likes. Do you understand this, my friend? I need 500. It's up to you, New York, please. Ladies and gentlemen, the likes are critical. The likes send us stratospherically into a new area. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, you understand this? This is what they do. This is what they do. Okay, dear friends. Now, let me ask you the question. In most respects, and this is very interesting, that would not qualify. Do you know a while back, this was a case, just to digress a moment. There was a case years ago where there was a woman who was found dead on the Upper West Side. Never forget this. And she was, it turns out, a dominatrix. And she was someone who, and I found this most interesting, they went to her apartment and they found a wheel on the wall. Try saying that 3 times fast. A wheel. They found a wheel. Like you would, be tortured or whipped or whatever the hell you do. You would know more about this than I would. I have no idea. You would know about, sexual debauch lifestyles. I know you demented, lovable people. And the question was, she was not charged with prostitution because that had nothing to do with sex. even though people were coming there to become sexually gratified. You see what I'm saying? This is weird. This is the strangest thing. Family law is archaic. It's the weirdest thing. What is adultery? Sexual intercourse. And adultery in Georgia law, in most cases, it can be a grounds for what am I trying to say? It can be a grounds for divorce, but also it's a factor in equitable distribution of property. So here's this woman, Joycelyn Wade. She comes along and she says, 26 years single mom, but I think she's got some health issues. She thinks, and they think, this guy's been just Nathan Wade, PC, his law firm. They don't even know about this other law firm. They don't even know about this Wade, Bradley, Campbell, PC. These are the ones filing the affidavits on his behalf, representing him in the divorce action. So it's so sloppy. It's like, wait a minute, hold it. You're telling her you're in a law firm? She's saying, who is this? He told me all my statements were from this guy. Wait, I thought you were a private practice. And then you get close to $700,000 in additional monies by representing or being a special prosecutor. Well, we didn't know anything about this. And then you ask yourself, well, who's benefiting? Did Fani Willis hire this guy? This is the most ridiculous. Did she hire him? Okay, sign off on the money where he can act as a conduit straight to her. I don't think there's any evidence of this whatsoever. Do I believe that she paid him in cash? No. I don't believe any of this. It's a nonsense statement. But do you understand? This started just in family law. This is somebody lying about this, lying about that, lying about all these things. They just started lying, and it started unraveling before your very eyes. How does this even, what in the name of God is happening here? This is the critical part. This is what it's all about. It shows you how this thing happens. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen in my. It's such a brutal example of life about how these things that you do, these things that you're involved in, sometimes can explode and implode and just collapse before your very eyes. And it's mendacity after mendacity after mendacity with people who thinking we don't have to. I don't know what this thing is. Marriage, the law. I don't know. Fani Willis has this idea that I don't it's almost like the psychopath. I don't know what you mean by these laws. What laws do I have to follow? What are you talking about? What is this law business? And you're also talking about somebody who in any, when you look at her, and nobody will say this, but you're looking at somebody whose very structure is low rent. If this were anybody else, by the way, I need 500 likes. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I'm going to say for now. If Fani Willis were anybody else, you'd say, if these were white folks on Maury, you'd say, bunch of trailer trash. Right? You would just say, this bunch of look at these people jumping around, and this one's this, and this one's lying about this, and this one. You would think these are the most low rent, low class if they were white. But now you gotta zip it up, because all of those rules that you would normally apply in being fair, I don't care who they were. If these were a bunch of kind of Sopranos-esque New Jersey housewives, Teresa Giudice type, you know what I mean? You would say, oh, look at these typical mob malls, Jersey Shore, low rent. Yeah. I've seen this before. Yeah, I've seen this. Bunch of hicks, hillbillies, right? But no. Everything that would be okay, that you would say, and you would bring it in to assess this. In any other form. It was so funny. We were talking about one time in the Orthodox Jewish community, getting married, getting divorced, and the traditions and the way they think, and it's completely okay. Doesn't that fascinate you? Yet her father can say, "Well, Your Honor, it's a black thing." Now, the black thing doesn't really matter. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't serve as a defense if you were to advance it. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't explain anything. It doesn't. How do we say this? It's of no relevance. But notice how everybody is just treating her. They don't want to say who she is. And it's not because of race. It's the fact that Fani Willis just has no respect for the law. None. She's just, I don't know. I've never seen anything like it. She just does whatever she wants to do. Period. Irrespective of what you think, irrespective of the laws of evidence, professional responsibility, that's it. And this guy, remember now, somebody mentioned last night, is adultery against the law. And it's very interesting, by the way, Barbra Streisand said, District Attorney Fani Willis acquitted herself admirably against the charges of conflict of interest. A woman is allowed to have a private life and still be in public service. Barbra Streisand does not get it. Now, here's the story. Is adultery a crime in Georgia? Okay. Yes, it is. Adultery is considered a misdemeanor and thus is technically illegal. That said, there hasn't been a single case where someone was charged and prosecuted for adultery in Georgia for the last 100 years. Now listen to this. Georgia law defines adultery as when a married person has sexual intercourse with someone other than their spouse. May I ask you a question? Is something other than sexual intercourse, this implies intromission. This implies penis, vaginal contact, coitus, intercourse, right? What if there was something else? Remember when, and people laugh at this, remember when Bill Clinton was on a deposition, and Bill Clinton was involved in a deposition, they asked him, and I remember talking to the lawyer representing Paula Jones. I remember him very, very well. And he was talking about this. And I said, what was this all about? Because before we get to this, Georgia's Code of Criminal Conduct, Title 16, Chapter 9, Section 9, makes it illegal to cheat on a spouse. A person convicted of adultery can be punished as for misdemeanor. Georgia is a no-fault divorce state. If someone wants to get divorced in Georgia, they must choose one of 13 grounds outlined. Blah, 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 blah. If someone has cheated, their spouse can argue that the affair justifies a denial of alimony and an award of more than 50% of the marital estate. So it's really, really serious in terms of this. But the question I have is, what if it's not intercourse? What if it's something else? Because when Bill Clinton was on trial and they were asking him questions of, did you have sex with that woman? And he was about to answer, and I'll never forget this. He goes, now, wait a minute. Let me define what this is. And I said, that's it. Don't do it. You just lost. Bill Clinton will find a way out of this. And sure enough, he said, did you have sex with her? And sex is defined as, and he basically defined it as, and let me try to clean this up, something that he did to her, but nothing that she did to him. So adultery in this case is when a spouse cheats on his wife, but not that a single person has sex with somebody who's married. These are specific expressio unius est exclusio alterius. These are critical. This is all about specific versions of this. If both Fanni and Nathan got together and said, we're not gonna miss it. Okay. And he got in the class, he goes, I cannot have sexual intercourse because of the ravages of prostate cancer and the treatments. I am without the ability. And she said, he's absolutely right. Did we spend the night together? Yes, we did. Were we in bed together? Yes, we were. Did we cuddle? And yes, we did. I don't want to go into other particular activities which may not constitute intercourse. But I mean, if they were to try that, good luck. Unless there's something about Georgia law that takes into account other forms of what this thing is. It gets really, really specific. And a lot of the times, believe it or not, dare I say, it's unprovable. I mean, provable. I can prove that you entered a building. I can show you on CCTV. I can show you walking in. I can show you near the cosmetics counter, but I can't prove you took anything. But you were there. You were near it. I know what you were thinking. I know how I know what you're thinking. I know. Do you see what I'm saying? This is bare bones and gritty. As who is it? As Aretha Franklin said, it's greasy. She meant that in a nice way about music, but this is really, and all of this could have been avoided. Let me say this again. All of this could have been avoided had she just kept her mouth shut. Interesting phrase. But had she just said, let's just stipulate to this. For purpose of this, Mr. Wade and I were romantic, but I'm not stipulating to any kind of this. I don't know. And this could have probably just gone away. But no, not because of all of this. The divorce lawyer said, did you know about this? Did you know he was a special prosecutor? $700,000. Wait a minute, what? That's money that could be going to you. 26 marriage, single mom, stay at home with health problems, and this philandering rapscallion is running around. Stay tuned, dear friends. Stay tuned. Let's go right now to another sponsor. That's always been near and dear to my heart. Preparewithlionel.com regarding what happens with emergency food when it all goes away. Let's talk about a very serious subject, emergency food. That's right, emergency food. I know. At first blush, it's difficult for most people to think about something that they just take for granted ever reaching emergency status. We're used to stores always being open, deliveries always made, no supply chain disasters, no ransomware catastrophes, none of that stuff. Nothing shutting down our gas stations, right? No trucking strikes, no war, no protests from farmers, nothing catastrophic in terms of weather. Nope, that can't happen to us. And I understand it's a defense mechanism that we have because the idea of ever not being able to eat or locate food is seemingly incomprehensible. Well, it's not. That's why it's time for you to go to my site, preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com has the deal of deals for you. Now, take it as a starter set. You've been putting off emergency food for too long. Some people still have a thing about prepping as though preparing for emergency is foolish. Now, right now, you can save $60 on a 4-week emergency supply kit. This is unbelievable. 16 varieties with a 25-year shelf life, 2,000 calories a day in 2 beautifully modular buckets that weigh 38 pounds total. These are waterproof and they're perfectly stackable. 4 weeks, a month. Now, be honest, could you go a week without any trips to any store? I'm not talking about having stuff in your cabinet. I'm not talking about banana chips and jerky. I mean food, real food. So go right now to preparewithlionel.com, right now, right this moment, preparewithlionel.com, preparewithlionel.com. You'll thank me, trust me. Now, on the subject of something, because I think this is very interesting, in New York law, New York's really got this thing covered. In New York, adultery for purposes of the domestic relations, divorce, family law, adultery is defined as sexual intercourse. To be granted a divorce on the grounds of adultery, by the way, because New York is kind of like that fault, no fault. It's still it's remnant. Divorce. Can you imagine? Can you? Let me see. Can you believe? Let me see. Just a minute. I'm always researching everything I say. Yeah, New York allows both fault and no fault. Okay, fine. But listen to this one. You're going to love this. In the state of New York, when it comes to, for purposes of adultery, adultery only covers sexual intercourse, which means behaviors such as kissing, webcam, virtual, emotional adultery do not count for the purposes of getting divorced. So what Anthony Weiner theoretically did on a phone with somebody else, it might be criminal, but that is not it. Listen to this one. Under New York Domestic Relations Law, Section 170, paren 4. Listen to this. Adultery involved. Now, New York's got this covered. And please forgive me, but I'm reading you the statutes. This is the law. This is what it is. Adultery involves an act of sexual intercourse, oral sexual conduct, or anal sexual conduct performed voluntarily by a married person with a person who is not their spouse. This stuff gets really complicated. And all of this would not have been even a problem. Nobody knew anything about this until this case unraveled. And one of the other particular issues, which our dear friend Fanni has to worry about, is when this lawyer, Andrea Dyer Hastings, when she filed, she was going to subpoena, in fact, she did subpoena Fani Willis like she would in any other divorce case. Fani Willis basically came back and said, I construe this as obstruction of justice. You're trying to interfere and impede upon me and my world as I am engaged in this extremely critical and important lawsuit. So, go away. And they're saying, are you threatening me? Because this Fani Willis, see, when I heard this, I'm thinking, oh my God. She basically says, you don't know who I am. I am the law. I'm above the law. Go away. Now, I differ with a number of people for so many reasons. And let me get down to the brass tacks about this. I do believe that this judge, that Judge McAfee, has to absolutely disqualify her and her office. Why is that? Why? Why? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? The state of Georgia, the people of the state of Georgia, the citizens of the state of Georgia, they're a party to this. What about them? She is theoretically bringing an act. She is bringing an act, which is so important, a charge, which basically deals with the president. Do you understand this? She is bringing an act, or excuse me, an action on behalf of the people of the state of Georgia. They have to absolutely have their right in court. Their trial is being affected by this. Let's assume you as a litigant, you go to court and your lawyer is now involved in all kinds of problems. Oh, there was one case, I remember 40 years ago, during this one particular case, this one lawyer set another lawyer up and knew he was going to a bar, and then had a police officer that they knew pulled this guy over and give him a DUI. I mean, it was the most incredible thing in the world. The person who really suffered was the litigant. Do you understand this? It was the most important thing ever. This is the thing which is critical. What about the people of the state of Georgia? What about them? Do they have a right? Do they have any kind of say in this? That's what I want to know. So, my friends, we're going to continue this. I thank you for this. There's so much more to. I haven't even Please make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's going to be more separate videos coming up. The private channel, I can go into real, I think more, dare I say, brutal precision about this. But the bottom line is this. How can you show that Donald Trump's, his right as a defendant has been compromised by anything that Fanni and Nathan Wade did? The state of Georgia can, because their case has been compromised by it. Not only that, she probably will never win re-election again. She might be facing her own particular problems with ethics or what have you. So there's all these separate issues. But what is it? What is it? What do you think? What do you think is the most important aspect of this? Now, $8 million. You're talking about this. What difference does that make? That she has $8 million or assets of $8 million. She files disclosure statements. What difference does that make? It's nothing to do with anything. Nothing. I'm curious. What do you think that matters? Nothing. Because some of you have mentioned it. Doesn't mean anything. It's irrelevant. So what? Big deal. I would mention also, if I represented sort of not her, but Donald Trump, actually, here's the best part. Donald Trump, we're only interested in this. Donald Trump, has his case been compromised? Yes or no? The Fanni is interesting. That's what will happen to her, IRS, and I don't think Georgia has a state income tax. Maybe they do. I don't know what it is. But that's Fanni. How has Donald Trump's case been violated? I don't know. That's the issue. That's the issue. All this other stuff, and they got a divorce, and Nathan lied on the interrogatories. Okay. And then went to Aruba, and she paid cash, and she had the cash. Or where'd the cash come from? Okay, fine. That means she lied to the court, and the court can have his own. But how does Donald Trump? The best part about this is the greatest thing that God ever gave him was Fani Willis as a prosecutor. Now, here's another one, too. What if they just change venue? What if they say, okay, I'll make a deal with you? There's no way Fulton County cannot possibly be the site of this, even though this is the Fulton County DA. Can Donald Trump get a fair trial? Can Donald Trump actually, do you think, I don't know. Can the people, listen to this, can the people of Fulton County get a fair trial? I don't know about that either, because remember, they're a party to this also. So you've got to change a venue, theoretically, that's possible. I think that those are really not preferred today. Not preferred. By the way, almost coming to 500 likes. Thank you. No, the only thing that has to be done, she cannot. This case has been so sullied, so tainted, so contaminated because the summation is coming up. She has to be in her office, has to be disqualified, which means, according to this jury commission, it goes elsewhere. It's looked at for a review. It's looked at, okay, where else can it go? And then some poor schmuck says a prosecutor cannot turn it down, but he can dismiss it. He can eliminate a lot of the counts. He can basically dilute it. He could reduce it to, nothing. So Trump wins no matter what. But this goes to show you this is a story of arrogance. Absolute arrogance. Define what a fair trial is? I have no idea. Michigan against Tucker. The defendant is not guaranteed a perfect trial, just a fair one. What is fair? I don't know. Is Donald Trump innocent of racketeering? They all are. They don't know each other. Merely being a part of an organization that doesn't have any organization. The Gambino crime family has crime and criminal commerce as its goal. Do you understand that? Yes. Therefore, if you're a soldier, a made man, or whatever it is, you're a part of the Gambino crime family. And even though you don't know this one or this one, the Gambino crime family exists. It is a racketeering enterprise. And you are a member of it. And you are being charged not as a co-conspirator with the spokes of the wheel. No. You're a part of the organization. That's what racketeering is. These people don't know each other. They were not working together to get him elected illegally. It doesn't work that way. I need 32 more likes, and I've got 500, and I'll be the happiest person this side of the Pecos. Only up to you. So let me just go through this again. None of this. No. So he's not guilty of racketeering. And picking up the phone and says, I need how many votes. That doesn't mean, I don't even know what that means. It doesn't mean steal me the votes. And even if he said that, he might be guilty, let's assume. He might be co-conspiring with somebody else or conspiring with somebody else, maybe. But there's no racketeering. 505 likes. Thank you. I don't deserve you, dear kind people. I don't deserve you. Your kindness, your focus, every single day, you never let me down. You get it. Arlene Army, thank you so much. Pat Kelpie, thank you. Thank you as well. Don't forget, subscribe to this channel. I've got some new videos coming up. Subscribe to this channel. Thank you. You are the best. We spend time. We go through it. You stick with this. In fact, the numbers go up. You're not one of these. They always say, well, with internet, people don't have the attention span. Yes, they do. You love the complexity of this. That's the beauty. And you've learned stuff. And you're going to go out into the world and you're going to say, here's one for you. What does adultery mean? What is sexual? How do you prove that? Did you know this? Did you know about fault states? Did you know how this thing started to unravel? Watch any show. Watch anything on Fox. Watch anything on news match or whatever, news, whatever the hell it's called. Just nothing. Because there's no time. They don't give you. Or they'll just show you umpteen videos of Fanni saying something stupid. They go, yeah, I know that. But what does this mean? What's important and what's not? Don't just keep showing me this stuff. Don't throw graphics at me and have that as a substitution. Yeah, that's interesting for a while, but you're beyond that. Let's talk about what this really means, because you will learn about your system by seeing something like this. And this is, again, your system. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Don't forget, follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. This is my beloved. This is the best YouTube channel, bar none, on predation, sexual predation of children, human trafficking, and also follow her on X or Twitter at Lynn's Warriors, LYNNS_Warriors. All right, dear friends, see you tonight. 7 p.m. I got this confused. 7 p.m. And until then, remember, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.